Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina wa habibina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'd like to talk about Juneteenth. And one of my sons, or both of my sons, or two of my sons, asked me yesterday, what do Juneteenth mean? What do Juneteenth mean? And how does that impact Black Americans? And it was a question that was asked to me. It made me think about the reply. First and foremost, for my own children who live in Harlem, and Harlem is one of the places where Black culture is at the forefront when it comes to consciousness or Black consciousness. And my first thought for my kids who go to school in Harlem, the predominantly all Black children in all Black neighborhoods, is that their school should be taught about Juneteenth. That's the first thing that came to my mind. The second thing that came to my mind is that for one of my children, the school is named after a very famous Black activist. And it showed me that, hey, how can you be in a school that's named after a Black activist, where a lot of those public schools in Harlem are named after Black activists, and the children are learning nothing about Black people's history. And this is Harlem. And unfortunately, this particular school is right. One of the schools of my kids is right in back of Apollo, which is another landmark of Blacks, Americans, historically and culturally. And Harlem represents Black culture and Black consciousness. And I said to myself, how have Black children in Black schools, and they're teaching the kids nothing about their heritage or even about Harlem itself? And that shows about Eurocentric education, even being taught in Harlem in Black schools where predominantly Black children are still learning Eurocentric ideas. But I responded to my son about Juneteenth, which we all need to hear. And I said, Juneteenth represents when Emancipation Day for Blacks, meaning when they got free from slavery. But in this particular date, all right, commemorate the day, June 16, 1865, where when federal troops arrived, and I think it's called Galveston or Galveston, Texas, and gave words to enslaved African Americans that they were free, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. So it says that Juneteenth, the holiday, has been celebrated by many Black families for a generation, but began to gain wider attention in 2022 after the murder of George Floyd, right? And I told my son that Juneteenth is tokenism. I told him that Juneteenth is tokenism as a holiday. And I said it was given during the time of George Floyd death by President Sleepy Joe Biden. And I said it's tokenism. And I said because it doesn't change anything of the condition of Black peoples in America except for a national holiday, a U.S. holiday where everybody gets off, whether you Black, white, Latino, Hispanic, Asian. It's a national holiday. So it's nothing specific for Black peoples. And it's tokenism because it doesn't change systemic racism in the legal system, the same legal system that killed George Floyd, the same legal system, police officer that killed George Floyd, the same legal system and police officers that killed Breonna Taylor and many other Black peoples by the hands of police officers or white police officers, and the U.S. system, the legal system that protects them and give them the power to oppress and kill blacks. I told my son this is tokenism. It doesn't change the condition of black peoples. It doesn't change their political condition. It doesn't change their financial condition, where we know the long history of the US government enslaving black peoples. And then after emancipation, not giving black Americans no form of reparation. But in the same hand, when poor peasants came from Europe, that American government put millions of dollars or spent millions of dollars in the hands of Europeans. But the former slaves, African slaves, who are the slave of Europeans, who got rich off of their free labor, did not give them any type of recompense. But poor people from Europe came into America. To this day, they get handouts from the government. Just as Joe Biden today, or this last few months, have given money for Ukrainian refugees, allowing 100,000 of them to enter the U.S. and giving them hands out. On top of that, spending billions of dollars, giving billions of dollars to Ukrainian governments to fight against Russia. So I said Juneteenth for Black American doesn't mean anything. It's tokenism. It doesn't change the condition of systemic racism. Joe, and I said to my child, for a lot of black people who are politically ignorant or not politically inclined, I said Juneteenth, they get the satisfaction that America's changing by giving them this holiday, but in reality, the government has not changed any other systemic racist issues pertaining to the government against blacks. So the holiday doesn't change the condition of the US government. And as we people are celebrating Juneteenth, just a month ago, a group of blacks in Buffalo, New York has been slaughtered and killed by a white supremacist racist who was filled with ideologies and thinking from replacement theory. The replacement theory. So Juneteenth didn't change anything related to white supremacy and systemic racism. It is tokenism. I told this to my son, this is tokenism. And I said that for many blacks who are not aware or politically ignorant, they're satisfied with this holiday. And it's a holiday, if you look deep into it, a federal holiday where everybody gets off of work, whether you black, white, whether you're a white racist. It's a federal holiday, everybody get off. So the holiday itself doesn't benefit black people. Nothing special about you is being given in this holiday. And it's tokenism. It is tokenism. Doesn't change the political condition in the United States. Sleepy Joe Biden, like the rest of the Democratic Party, and I don't see no difference between the Democratic Party, even though I am a registered Democrat. I see no difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party when it comes to black peoples. The Republican Party is the outward racist, and the Democratic Party are the liberals who hate black people, who are smiling in their face, but stabbing them in their back. So this particular holiday, Juneteenth, doesn't change any of the systemic problems in the United States related to racism. It doesn't change the factor that blacks, we are most likely, due to systemic racism, live in impoverished communities with bad health care, with poor schoolings and poor education. And while the government, Joe Biden, is putting money in the hands of immigrants and refugees and illegal immigrants in the United States, but he has done nothing to pass any bills to stop systemic racism as a whole. Because Joe Biden is just like the rest of the Democratic Party, which are racist, white supremacy in its passive form. The Republican Party is white supremacy in its active, aggressive form. And the Democratic Party, all white, racist, white supremacists in a passive form, which does more harm against black, because black people see Juneteenth as a federal holiday and a day off, but it doesn't change anything pertaining to systemic racism. Even the conviction of the murderer, killer of George Floyd, that is even it within itself tokenism within itself, because him, Derek Chauvin, being found guilty in the court of law did not change any laws on the books that attack and hurt black peoples within the United States. And by them putting him or finding him guilty, Devin Chauvin, finding him guilty, put him in prison is another form of tokenism, because they sacrifice this one white police officer by giving him or putting him in prison. Tokenism, virtue signaling, put him in prison, incarcerating him, and black people's having this as certification as if something is won. Nothing was won by putting him in prison, because it didn't change anything in the legal system pertaining to police brutality and murdering and slaughtering and killing black peoples within the United States. It didn't change the legal system. So the government sacrificed Derek Chauvin for white supremacy to live and never change anything in the legal system pertaining to systemic racism. They sacrificed him, this one officer, they put him in prison, they found him guilty, they put him in prison, and nothing about the legal system or police brutality has changed. Because right after they killed George Floyd, in the same states, and I believe the same precinct, the same police precinct, it turned around and killed another black person. It turned around and killed another black person, who was the young man who was fleeing from the car, and the police officer shot him in his chest, or shot him within the car and killed him, or shot him in his chest. And she got a smack in the wrist. All this is tokenism. So after the being found guilty, Derek Chauvin, putting him in prison, finding him guilty, did not change anything in the legal system pertaining to how police blacks. Tokenism. Juneteenth, tokenism. Derek Chauvin, guilty plea, tokenism. All these things are tokenism, and doesn't change anything about systemic racism in the legal system. And black peoples, we need to stop falling for virtue signaling and tokenism. We need to stop falling for virtue signaling and tokenism. If you like this particular channel and you like these type of conversations, you could definitely support me by clicking like and sharing the video. And whoever wants to share or like the video or whatever, please share it. Please click like, and please help this channel. A lot of people don't know that Facebook shadow bans a lot of black topics on its platform, like other social media. So if you like this, please like and share. It helps promote this channel without Facebook putting it low in the feed. But if you like and share, it helps promote this particular channel. in this particular video. And if you'd like to donate, you could definitely donate at my Cash App, $Islam's Finest. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفر الله وأتوب إليك.